My name is Cara Allen, and I am from Wilmington, North Carolina. I am a political science major, also minoring in philosophy, politics, and economics, or PPE, and the School of Civic Life and Leadership. And after graduation, I am moving to DC for 2 years with the Public Interest Fellowship, and I'm going to be working at the Beckett Legal Fund. They do religious liberty law.
Fire.
And then hopefully law school, eventually.
LSAT.
LSAT, yeah. Me and Andrew got the same plan. So true.
How did you meet your best friends? What did those friendships look like? And how have you been intentional about those relationships?
I met my best friends through a Facebook post for off-campus housing. I'm a transfer student, and so I transferred here my junior year from Wilmington. And I was looking for housing, and I had this one opportunity that fell through about 3 weeks before school started, and I wasn't sure where on earth I was going to live because I didn't know anybody. And so I was on one of these random Facebook groups of just trying to find housing and roommates and apartments, and I saw this one post for this girl who needed someone to take over her lease in a house of 8 girls, most of them college life leaders, all Christian, and most of them young life leaders, all Christian, and I immediately jumped on it. Texted her, she texted me back, she was like, you can meet the girls, and if they say yes, then you're in. Had a 5-minute FaceTime call with a few of them. They said you're in. So I moved in with them at the beginning of junior year, and they quickly became my best friends in college. I love living with a lot of people. It's never quiet. There's always noise, always laughter. But some of my favorite memories and moments are just sitting all together in the living room. We have a very open kind of floor plan, so whoever's in the kitchen can see whatever's going on in the living room. Everyone's rooms are kind of around that. You can always hear what's going on. And so some of the sweetest moments are when someone's making dinner and someone's at the kitchen table doing homework and someone's watching something on the TV and we're all just talking. Those are some of the sweetest moments. I think coming in as a transfer, I had to be really intentional about friendships. A lot of people have already found their groups and people by then, and so it can be a little difficult to be like the new person trying to enter into all of those spaces, whether it was ministry or even just like friends in general. So I quickly decided I knew I had to be intentional. I knew I had to be willing to just say yes to anyone and to everything, and to the late night ice cream runs, but also to say yes to pick someone up from the airport or whatever it might be. So I just going out of my way to make time to get to know the people around me. But some of my favorite habits for friendships are just asking someone to go for a walk. Other things like just doing life with people. You have to eat, you have to study, you probably should move your body and go for a walk every now and then. So why not do that with people? And, also going to church and finding a community and a ministry. I got plugged into Summit College pretty quickly. And that also required a lot of intentionality I was an upperclassman joining a Bible study of people who had known each other for a couple of years, and so I just had to be willing to be vulnerable and open and honest. But those spaces were not only very welcoming, but became home for me a few months in, pretty quickly. So yeah, a lot of my favorite moments have just been the in-between moments of time in the car together, just listening to music, or driving to church and getting to hear someone's story, or for Summit, driving to Black Mountain weekend with some of the girls and just getting to talk for the whole 4-hour drive. And those are the memories and the moments that really stick with me.
Awesome.
I like that answer way better that time.
That was great. What are some successful / sweet habits, anything health, exercise, quality of life related? How'd you be intentional? Or write down the last time first.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about all the habits all together, I think,
I guess
maybe.
we're all
Same way that Winston did,
Great.
I think, kind of. One of the most grounding habits for me in college has been Sabbath. I knew I wanted to do it early on because I know coming into college, I said yes to everything, to everyone, all the time, in order to get into community and all those spaces. But that quickly meant that my Google Calendar was packed. And so I realized that in order to stay sane and grounded and have some semblance of rest, I needed to have a Sabbath. And that has looked different for me in different semesters. Sometimes it's been Sunday and there's no schoolwork that gets done and it's all just rest and peace. And sometimes it's just a couple of hours on a Saturday that I put my phone down and I am really intentional about going for a long walk or reading my Bible for a while or reading something that has nothing to do with school for a little bit and just enjoying those moments. Something I also love to do and has been pretty consistent for me is I love to bake. And so that quickly became one of my favorite like rest, slow down habits for a Sabbath is baking for my house. There's nothing that brings me more joy than like a slow Sunday afternoon and whipping up some muffins. I have a pumpkin muffin recipe that's my grandmother's recipe that I make all the time. And then my housemates come trickling in, drawn by the smell. And then sometimes I remember mentioning like this habit to some of my friends over spring break, junior year. And Winston, who lives in Park Place, was like, I would like some muffins. And so the next time that I did that, I brought them a plate as well. And so every so often I'll just text them that I'm coming over with a plate of muffins or cookies or brownies or whatever I've decided to make. And that has just been a really sweet habit of something that I love to do, but also brings other people joy and also forces me to slow down for an hour or two just to be fully present and grounded. Other habits that have been really sweet, obviously spending time like with the Lord. It looks different throughout college. It can be really inconsistent sometimes, but it really does serve as the foundation for everything else. Like I lead in Summit College, and the only way that I can do that and pour out to other people is if I have like been poured into myself. And so I can notice really quickly when I'm pouring out a lot and I've neglected to spend time in secret with my Father, that I begin to start doing it out of my own strength, and that runs out really quickly. And so reminding myself that I need to get back with him. And I am not a morning person, so a lot of the times it is not in the morning. It usually is the first like slow time during the day so sometimes that's the morning if I don't have class till later, but sometimes that's over my lunch break, or I'll go for a long walk and just like reflect and pray with him, and that reminds me a lot of my dependence on him, because if I have gone most of the day and I haven't spent time with him, I realize it and I feel it really deeply, and so that makes it just a necessary like grounding habit. And then I've alluded to this a couple of times, but I've learned the power of a long walk, I'm a verbal processor, and so I like to talk at God a lot. I like to get it all out, all my prayer requests, all the things I'm worried about, everything that is on my mind. And so lately I've learned the importance of like praying, getting all my thoughts out, and then continuing to walk and actually listen. I love to go like on Gimgul loop, and I'll usually like start out with a prayer, and then I start giving him everything, all the half-formed thoughts that are overwhelming me, and I'll get like halfway through the loop and I've run out of things to say and I still have the other half to go. And that's when I like John Mark Comer writes in his book about the Sabbath, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, he describes the sensation of his soul catching up with his body when he's actually like rested and he's actually fully present. And so usually about halfway through that loop is when I feel kind of that feeling of, oh, I'm fully present and I can see the trees around me and I can hear the birds singing and I'm fully here. And that's when I listen. That's when I actually hear the Lord speak. And those are some of the most sweet habits.
That's good. That's all. I need to do that.
Oh, TNW, I want to mention that too. Quick, really, like immediately in my college experience, I knew that church was really important to me, and ministry was really important, but I discovered Tuesday night worship pretty immediately. And first of all, that's just like the sweetest thing of like a whole group of college students from all these different ministries coming together every Tuesday night to worship God in a parking deck. Like, that's insane and awesome and so sweet. And I've met some really sweet people there. It's actually how I got connected to my family group, was by meeting a fellow transfer there. But I immediately decided, like, Tuesday night, that little like midweek reset, like Monday and Tuesday can be very long days. And so that little reset, I decided was going to be a weekly habit for me. Like, it did not matter if I had to test the next day, if I had a paper I was working on, like no matter what, Tuesday night was, I would go to fellows at the study center, and then I would go to TNW, and it didn't matter what else. Like, those were habits that I was just making time for and setting apart. And I think the Lord has really honored that, of I just said this is time that I'm making for him. And every week without fail, TNW has been just this like weekly reset of like, no matter what I'm coming into it with, I'm just coming to spend time and worship and be in community, but fix my eyes on Jesus, and everything else just falls away. Like, I can start the first song and my mind is elsewhere, and then by the time we get to the second or third song, I'm fully present, my eyes are on him, and I always walk away with it, like, from it, really glad that I went. And so, I mean, there have been times where I then had to go finish studying or whatever, but I have never regretted making that a consistent habit. I really wanted to say that, so.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good. Tell us about a professor or mentor that impacted you. How did you find them? Or how did they find you? And
Perfect.
what has that relationship taught you? And what surprising opportunity with that?
Yes.
Or separately?
I don't want to ramble on that. So, like I said, one of my minors is in the School of Civic Life and Leadership, and when I'm asked, what is political science and what is civic life and leadership and what do all those have to do with each other, I like to say I just study like human nature and how we do life together in community and in politics. That's basically all political science is like anthropology, more or less. And so one of my favorite classes my first semester here was the Foundations of Civic Life and Leadership. And it was a class about, like the beginnings of American life and the founding and what were kind of the ideals and values of American life originally, and what has sustained like democracy and just the American culture and nature. My professor for that class is Dr. Michael Hawley, and I sat in the front of that class so that I would pay attention. But I quickly found like it was a class that I loved, and so I would talk a lot, like I would answer all the questions, and it got to the point where I really wanted to hear what he had to say about all of the questions, and so I would stay after class and I would talk to him. And at first it was just, a couple questions and then we would go our separate ways, but then it quickly became every Tuesday and Thursday right after class I would walk with him from our class to his office, and then I'd go do whatever I had to do. And we would just talk. We would talk about his research. We would talk about the things we discussed in class that day and my actual thoughts on them. Anything that maybe I was too scared to say in front of like a whole classroom of people when you're talking about politics. And it quickly turned into just like this really sweet time of getting to actually talk about these things and have real conversations about them. And then he told me in office hours one day that the School of Civic Life and Leadership was starting this official like mentor program, and asked if I wanted to be his mentee. I of course said yes. And the school gives the mentors a little bit of money to take their mentees out for lunch or coffee a couple of times a semester. And so those quickly became some of my favorite like routines of junior year, especially getting to go every like 6 weeks and sit with my professor and just talk again about like the things that interested both of us, and it felt, I don't know, it was just a really like engaging time and reminded me why I love learning, because it was just this like genuine search for truth and for goodness and beauty and all the things we were talking about, and getting to hear his thoughts and actually expand on what we were learning. He teaches at this summer program in DC called the Hudson Political Studies program. He teaches there every year, and I remember early on he told me about it, and he was like, when time comes to apply, like, you should think about applying. I kind of brushed it off, like, that sounded cool, but I wasn't really sure that, like, it was for me. And then January rolled around. He said, applications are coming up, you should apply. And I looked more into it, we talked a lot about it, and I decided to. And after a bunch of interviews and stuff, I got the program. And I was really hesitant to like go spend a really intense 6 weeks in DC. I just like the program sounded intense, but I'm so glad that I went, because basically I just spent a summer talking about all the things that I love to talk about, like the big questions of like, what is justice, and then what does it practically look like, and what is the nature of human nature? Are we naturally good? Are we naturally evil? How does that impact how we set up our political systems and institutions in response to those? And what is the balance of individual freedom and responsibility, and how do we self-govern? All of those big questions were things I got to spend an entire summer talking about, because I had talked about them with my professor. And then now through that summer fellowship, that's how I got the fellowship that I have for after college. So I get to continue to ask those questions. And it's all because I stayed after class to yap with a professor about some random questions, and I'm just really grateful. It was definitely a surprising opportunity. Like, it was one that felt like God just kind of handed me. Like, I didn't really have to go searching for it. And that was just an example of his faithfulness and provision. Yeah. Shout out Michael Hawley. He's at Princeton right now writing a book, so I haven't gotten to see him very much this year.
Wow.
Yeah. But he came to Duke for a conference, and we still like met up and got to talk, and that like we still have a Zoom call every so often. Like, we stay in touch, which is really fun. But yeah, miss him.
Dr. Hawley.
Dr. Hawley. The goat.
What is something you said no to, or wish you'd said no to?
Oh, I forgot I put this question on there. Coming into college, I had done a lot at my community college. I had said yes to everything. I was in student government, I was working at a law firm and for my dad, and just like did all the things, ministry-wise, everything. It was very packed. And so coming into my last 2 years of school here, I knew I wanted to slow down a little bit and actually like enjoy and have the chance to make the like really rich friendships, because I feel like that was what I hadn't had at community college. Was I really wanted the chance to have like the really deep friendships and memories of college here. And so I intentionally made the choice to not join like any academic fraternities or pre-law clubs or anything like that, which I like could have absolutely, and I think I would have loved it. But instead I told God, I was like, I know that I like have the tendency to say yes and overcommit myself, and also I'm in this season of needing to say yes to so many things in order to be intentional about friendship, and about community and about opportunities. So I'm not gonna say yes to anything like resume building unless you literally like drop it in my lap. That's what he did with the mentorship program. He's done that with several things in the School of Civic Life and Leadership of, I just had the chance to be a Libertas scholar, to be an ambassador for the program. I get to just talk with like professors that they're thinking about hiring, or I've done a couple of interviews for them for news reporters, and I've gotten to just like be a part of a growing department in ways that I wouldn't have if I had overcommitted myself in a bunch of other areas. And it's meant a lot more genuine relationships with like all of their faculty, than maybe the middling ones I would have had if I had joined a club or something. I've tried a couple other things, like I joined the figure skating club. I ice skated growing up, so I like kind of wanted to do that again. And I could have gone all in there, but the rink is a half an hour away, and I decided that I wanted to lead in ministry instead of pursue competing with ice skating. And I'm glad that I made that choice. Like, there's definitely I see kind of these alternate realities of like the different paths that I could have gone down in college. But I trust very deeply that the one that I am on is the one that God like ordained. Like his faithfulness has just been so apparent in all of it.
I didn't know you were a skater. Where's the skating rink?
That's in Wilmington?
Is it indoors?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's one 5 minutes from my house in Wilmington. I figure skated from ages 3 till 12, and I competed for a lot of those years.
Wow.
So my like earliest memories include figure skating.
Wow.
Because I don't have very many memories of before like age 5, so.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I can still pull it out every so often, but it's much more
Probably a good
recreational.
balance because of
Decently.
that. Yeah, maybe this is kind of the same thing. Have you made any sacrifices or good trade-offs to pursue what you feel called to do?
I think it's probably the same thing-ish. I'm trying to think if there are any other answers, but I think that's probably that one.
What's
Yeah.
your favorite characteristic most stood out? Well, how did you word that? What is it? Not favorite.
Characteristic of God that I've seen the most? Yes.
Wow.
I could talk about several, actually. I think one is his faithfulness. I have had to be so dependent on him for everything throughout my college experience. For the housing situation initially, for figuring everything out, just coming in like senior year, you're kind of coming in or junior year, you're kind of coming in the middle of everything. So I really had to trust that he would just ordain where I was supposed to go and who I was supposed to meet. His faithfulness has just been one of like, I'm very aware of his ever constant presence. Whether it's spending time with people at the study center or in my quiet time with him or in ministry, like he's just there and present in all of it, and faithful to provide, but also just to like make me aware of his presence. And kind of going along with that is him as shepherd, of trusting that he is leading me where he wants me, and he makes me lie down in green pastures. He gives me that rest. And his goodness. I think this is one that I've been clinging to a lot, especially as a senior, is believing that he's the giver of every good and perfect gift. So these opportunities, like my job is, I'm really excited for my opportunity in DC, and in the beginning, I honestly was like, is it too good to be true? Like there's some parts of it that felt very unlikely, and the Lord just kind of reminded me that he is the giver of every good and perfect gift, and he is a father who loves to give good gifts to his children. And it doesn't mean it's easy, but it means that I can trust that there's no catch. There's no catch to what he's giving me. And then secondly, he doesn't withhold anything good from those who walk according to his ways. I think that's Psalm 84. And that is something I've been clinging to as a senior, of like, all my friends are getting engaged, or, all those things. Or even as I figure out the logistics of moving to DC, just trusting that there's nothing that I am supposed to have that I don't. That I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, that his ways are higher, his thoughts are greater, and that he is providing and will provide, and that he's not withholding anything from me. So, yeah.
What's your favorite memory from Bull?
Oh, there's so many. Our Cinco de Boolage party is always really fun. Over spring break, last year. We were in the Bahamas. It was awesome. We spent a week on a boat, just all together. It was really sweet. But we were like, we want to throw a Cinco de Mayo party. Then we looked at it in the calendar, we were like, it's in the middle of finals, and like, some of us will be gone. We don't really want to do that. So we're like, okay, Cinco de April. And then someone was out of town, so we were like, okay, it's just Cinco de Boolage, and it was like April 3rd or something. But that has become like our signature kind of event, is Cinco, and I make some sort of dessert. I made coconut rum cake this year. It was delicious. But also, the snow days this year were really fun, because we were all just forced to spend time together. And it was in the middle of our like mahjong craze, and I made a bunch of soup, and I baked a lot. And we just went for some really long walks in the snow, and went sledding, and just like did everything together for those 2 weekends. And I think those were just some really special times, especially for senior year, of we're all going in all of our different directions, and then we're about to graduate and go in still, even more directions. And so having that time together to like start off the semester just together and make those memories was an unexpected blessing. There's also some prank wars that I will not confess to on camera, of certain things that have occurred against Park Place, and that was really fun.